Sometimes history finds you when you least expect it. That's exactly what happened to the man we're talking about today. He just walked into a city for a religious festival, and bam, he's suddenly at the center of one of the most pivotal events ever. We're diving into the story of Simon of Cyrene, a totally ordinary guy caught in a truly extraordinary moment. So let me ask you, really think about this. What if you were just going about your day, right, minding your own business, and all of a sudden you're forced, literally forced, to take part in an event that's going to change the world? For Simon of Cyrene, that wasn't just some what-if question, it was his reality. So, Simon's story, it doesn't kick off with some grand decision he made. Nope, it all starts with a journey he was already on. He was a devout guy making a religious pilgrimage to Jerusalem, and he had absolutely no idea his path was about to collide with destiny itself. I mean, think about it. Simon had traveled hundreds of miles, probably from what we now call Libya, all to celebrate Passover in the Holy City. For him, this was a normal act of faith, something he likely planned for. But this trip, oh, this one was different. It was about to change his life and his family's life forever. Okay, so to really get the gravity of what's about to happen, we need to zoom out a bit. We've got to understand the world Simon was living in, and let me tell you, it was a pressure cooker of colliding cultures and some serious tension.
First thing to know about Simon, he was a diaspora Jew. That's a key detail. It just means he lived outside of the Jewish homeland, Judea. So his daily life was a balancing act, right? He's navigating Greek and Roman culture, all while trying to hold on to his Jewish identity. This gave him a really unique worldview, totally different from the Jews actually living in Judea, who were, right at the center of all the religious and political drama.
And his hometown, Cyrene? Don't picture some tiny, dusty village, no way. Cyrene was a bustling, cosmopolitan city in what's now Libya. It was a real melting pot of Greek, Roman, and Jewish cultures, so Simon would have been around Greek philosophy, Roman law, all of it. And at the same time, he's part of this strong Jewish community. This whole background basically made him a man of the world. So, he arrives in Jerusalem, and the city he walks into is a powder keg, just waiting to explode. You've got the heavy-handed rule of the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate, and it's Passover, which always ramped things up. The air was just thick with this hope, this expectation of a Messiah who would finally save them from Roman rule. The entire city was on a knife's edge. And this is where it all comes together. That one single critical moment. On the road to a place called Golgotha, the execution site. All these different forces. You've got Roman power, Jewish hope, and this one guy's personal pilgrimage. They're all about to crash into each other. Just try to picture it. The streets are absolutely packed, shoulder to shoulder with pilgrims. The vibe is chaotic. It's part festival, part political protest waiting to happen. And Simon? He's just one face in this massive crowd, just trying to get from point A to point B. And then he sees it, an execution procession. There's a condemned man, Jesus, and he's stumbling. He's clearly too weak from being tortured to carry that heavy crossbeam. Now, for the Roman soldiers, this is just an annoyance, a delay, a logistical problem they need to solve to get on with the execution. So a soldier does what a soldier would do. He scans the crowd, finds a guy who looks strong enough, and bonus points, he's clearly a visitor, not a local who might stir up trouble, and he just barks an order. And his finger points right at Simon. And this is so important to remember. Simon didn't raise his hand. He didn't volunteer. He was compelled. Coerced. This was not some act of faith or devotion on his part. It was a scary, confusing, totally involuntary moment forced on him by the brute power of an occupying army. Now, you'd think that would be it, right? A terrible, random encounter, and then the story's over. But it's not. The Bible actually leaves these fascinating little clues, breadcrumbs really, that suggest this one moment had a huge, lasting impact on Simon and his whole family. Okay, clue number 1 comes from the Gospel of Mark. Listen to this. The author doesn't just say, a guy named Simon. He says, Simon, the father of Alexander and Rufus. Now, why would he do that? Why name the sons? Well, it's almost certain that the first people reading this gospel knew exactly who Alexander and Rufus were. It's a major hint that there's more to this story. And then, here's the clincher. Fast forward a few decades. The Apostle Paul is writing a letter to the church in Rome, the heart of the empire. And who does he send a personal shout-out to? A man named Rufus and his mother, who, of course, would be Simon's wife. And Paul doesn't just say hi. He calls Rufus chosen in the Lord. and says his mom has been like a mother to him too. Wow. When you connect those dots, the ripple effect is it's incredible. That one brief, violent, unwanted moment on the road to an execution, it seems to have sparked a total spiritual transformation. It led to Simon's entire family becoming well-known, important figures in the early Christian church. A totally involuntary act created this incredible legacy of faith that spanned generations. So, what do we take from all this? What's the deeper meaning here? Well, for 2,000 years, thinkers and theologians have looked at what Simon did and seen it as this incredibly powerful symbol. Think about it. What Simon was forced to do, literally pick up and carry a cross, became the central metaphor for what it means to be a follower of Jesus. That whole idea of taking up one's cross, it comes from this. It's about being willing to embrace suffering you didn't ask for, to serve even when it's hard, and to walk a path of humility. And the lessons from his story are just timeless, right? It's all about how to find meaning when you're stuck carrying a burden you never chose. It's about the power of, well, you could call them divine interruptions. And it really highlights the incredible value of those humble, unseen acts of service. And in the end, that's what's so powerful about Simon's story. It connects right back to us, to our own lives. It's this huge reminder that the most important, life-changing moments, they might not show up in the big events we plan for. They might just be hiding in the interruptions of our everyday, ordinary lives. So I guess the question to leave you with is this. What are the crosses you've been asked to carry? What are the interruptions in your life that might just be holding some kind of unexpected, maybe even transformative purpose?